When we think about then going from across department, should there be an accountability from team member to team member? Should those check-ins be happening as well?
The best type of accountability is peer accountability that happens on the day-to-day. Like if you kind of look at it maybe in a, this way, it's like day-to-day accountability. The optimal view of day-to-day accountability is peer-to-peer accountability. That's the best type of accountability. If you looking at week over week accountability, where you're looking at performance over a period of time, then manager to employee accountability works best. You're not going to have a peer go look at somebody's numbers for the week and say, hey, you missed your submittal numbers by 2 last week. That's not going to
Right.
happen.
Right.
Right? But what they are going to say is like, hey, why didn't you cover my job? You said you were going to cover it, right? So that weekly type of accountability is really kind of line level to employee accountability. But it's all incredibly important. And I would argue the most powerful, the real accountability that really drives performance is peer-to-peer accountability. Like if you're going to ask me, like, which is what would I want the strongest? No question, be peer-to-peer. That's the sign of the healthiest culture you could possibly have.
Why is that?
Well, mainly because it really it drives the culture of the organization. When you look at the way I look at culture, it's kind of the definition I kind of go with, or the lens I look through, is the unwritten rules that drive behavior with one another. So if I'm holding people accountable, that becomes the rule set of how we work together. And so we're more likely to pay closer attention to detail. We're more likely to live up to our obligations. We're more likely to put those extra 10 calls in. We're more likely to take that call list back home with us. We're more likely to ask those additional questions to those candidates. You're not going to get from a management accountability. That's never going to happen. Those are cultural expectations, right? Where you don't want to let people down, when you want to live up to the standards that you hold each other to. And that is the foundation. That's everything. That's why when you have a performer, let's say, even if if somebody's a top performer, if they are a tumor on the culture, if they're just cancerous on the culture, you can't keep them, because trust begins to break down with that team, and you lose that entire dynamic of mutual accountability, and the culture of performance just atrophies and falls apart. And I'm telling you, there is nothing harder than fixing a culture in a company. It's the hardest thing that I do.
Where do you start? So if someone's listening right now and they think they have one of those team members who is sort of that poison pill in the culture, but they're a high performer, where do you even get
Right.
started there?
I'll tell you that it's really hard. I've had to do it. And everybody that I talked to when I wrote Breaking Through had to do it. And it was all kind of a crossroads event for every single one of them. Is that you have to be willing to make that decision. First, you have to be willing to have the difficult conversations and stop compromising and trying to compromise around this individual and create. It can't be done. It's just no manager is smart enough or good enough to be able to manage around a terminally cancerous employee. It just can't be done. So unless that employee is willing to change the behavior, then that person, which you can do it, try it. I'm not saying not to try, but you have to be willing to let go. And I'll tell you something. You will be better off. You're going to imagine all these terrible things that are going to happen. You're going to imagine you're going to lose all this gross profit. I'm telling you right now, it never happens that way. It is never as bad as you imagine it. It never is. And then what happens is like this relief comes throughout the organization. And the only thing that you're going to hear from people is not like, I can't believe you did that. What you're going to hear is what took you so long. And it's going to make you feel worse, because that what made me feel worse, because that's what happened to me. It's like, what took you so long? It's like, you can't play defense as a manager. You just can't.